Welcome to IELTS Wordcraft. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's vocabulary journey.
Today's agenda features a really simple two-phase approach. First, we're going to cover 20 core IELTS vocabulary words. Then, we'll actually see them in action during a story called The Smart City Project.
All right, here is our full list of the 20 target words. Take a quick look right now just to prime your brain. And hey, don't worry if some of these look completely unfamiliar. We're going to tackle them right now. Let's kick things off. Virtual means existing digitally, not in physical reality. Think of when we attend a virtual meeting online. Visible simply means able to be seen, as in the stars were visible in the night sky. Generate is to produce or create something, like how wind turbines generate electricity. And to implement is to put a plan into action, like a school deciding to implement a new uniform policy.
Moving right along, we have infrastructure, referring to basic physical structures. Think of how a city needs to improve its transport infrastructure. To initiate means to begin. For instance, the company will initiate a new project. Insert means putting something into something else, like when you insert your card into a machine. Finally, for this batch, integrate is combining things to work together, like when we integrate new software with an old system.
Okay, next up, modify means to change something slightly to improve it, kind of like modifying your daily routine. To offset is to balance or compensate, such as planting trees to offset a carbon footprint. When things overlap, they cover the same area or time. For example, my vacation will overlap with my brother's. And a parameter is a limit or boundary, like saying you need to stay within budget parameters.
For our next 4 words, a phase is a distinct stage in a process, like the final phase of construction. Sequence refers to a particular order of related things. You always want to make sure to follow this sequence of steps. To simulate is to imitate an appearance or character, the way a machine can simulate spaceflight. And to specify means to state a requirement exactly, like when you specify what time you will arrive. And here are our final 4 words. Transmit means to send out signals. A tower will transmit radio signals. To trigger is to cause an event to happen, just as certain foods trigger an allergic reaction. To unify is to bring together into one cohesive whole, like a leader trying to unify opposing groups. And finally, utilize means to make practical use of something, as in we must utilize all our available resources.
All right, Section 2, the Smart City Project, an IELTS Wordcraft story. Ethan and Nora had exactly 48 hours to finish their university project, which was unfortunate because the project barely worked and occasionally displayed giant dancing frogs for no scientific reason. Their software created a virtual city system designed to improve urban infrastructure. The goal was simple: connect traffic lights, buses, hospitals, and emergency systems into one smart network. Unfortunately, nothing inside the system wanted to cooperate. We need to initiate testing, Nora said. First, we should modify the transportation module, Ethan replied. Last time the buses drove into a lake? That lake was digital. The panic was real. Users would insert city data into the program, which would then integrate different public systems together. The software could also transmit emergency signals automatically during disasters. At least, that was the dream. In reality, every tiny parameter caused fresh chaos. The testing process had several important phases. First came simulation, then debugging, then emotional collapse. Ethan clicked Run Simulation. Tiny digital citizens appeared on screen. Cars moved smoothly through the city for about 20 seconds. Then every traffic light turned purple. That should not happen, Nora whispered. The transportation and emergency systems had started to overlap again, causing one broken command to trigger complete confusion. Suddenly, every billboard displayed a giant dancing frog. Ethan stared in horror. I forgot to delete that. You inserted frog code into the emergency system? It was temporary. The entire simulation crashed seconds later. For hours, they rewrote code, adjusted settings, and drank dangerous amounts of coffee. Nora tried to generate cleaner map designs, while Ethan attempted to specify safer controls. We also need backup systems to offset failures, Nora explained.
Meaning?
If one system crashes, another system compensates. By Sunday morning, the project finally looked stable. Traffic moved correctly, power systems worked, no frogs appeared. We are ready to implement the final version, Ethan said proudly. On presentation day, their professor watched silently as the system demonstrated how cities could unify services and utilize resources more efficiently. Everything worked perfectly. Then one final frog appeared on a billboard and danced confidently across the screen. The room became silent. Nora closed her eyes. Ethan prepared for academic destruction. But suddenly, the professor laughed. Well, he admitted, the system may be strange, but it certainly has integrity. That is not one of the project requirements, Nora muttered. Still, they passed, and somewhere deep inside the code, the frog continued waiting patiently for another opportunity to return. Please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments, and I'll use them for future explainers.